It's like we're telling women, go on, speak up for yourself. Just know the entire network is with Roger. No one will believe you. They'll call you a liar. Oh, and as for your career, you want assignments and airtime? Go ahead. Call the paranoid man who decides your salary a pervert and do that on a fucking anonymous hotline he controls.
With today's fast-moving 24/7 news cycle, I'm going to guess that it's harder to make a film based on true events that recently unfolded, as we have both an endless amount of streaming shows and miniseries, and a never-ending stable of true crime podcasts. The story of Fox News chairman Roger Ailes getting ousted from Fox News during the Me Too movement after 20-plus Fox employees and former employees came out about sexual harassment and assault claims against him seems like a perfect story for all three: movies, TV shows, and true crime-style podcasts. And because of that, we got inundated with a never-ending list of them. By the time Bombshell came out in 2019, there had already been a Showtime series called The Loudest Voice with Naomi Watts as Gretchen Carlson, Russell Crowe as Roger Ailes, and Seth MacFarlane as Ailes VP Brian Lewis, which came out just 6 months before Bombshell, and a documentary called Divide and Conquer in 2018. Ailes died in 2017 out of Fox News and living in Palm Beach after falling and hitting his head.
They have a contractual right to monitor our communications. A hotline in this building is like a complaint box in occupied Paris.
Bombshell began development in 2017 with Jay Roach, who directed movies like Austin Powers and Meet the Parents, but also the 2015 movie Trumbo, as the director, and Charles Randolph, who co-wrote The Big Short with Adam McKay as the screenwriter, starring Charlize Theron as Megyn Kelly, Nicole Kidman as Gretchen Carlson, John Lithgow as Roger Ailes, as well as Margot Robbie, Allison Janney, Connie Britton, Kate McKinnon, Malcolm McDowell as Rupert Murdoch, Mark Duplass, Richard Kind, and Rob Delaney. The cast is stacked, and I do have to say it seems like they spent more money casting this thing and doing prosthetics than anything else. The performances are pretty great, especially Nicole Kidman, Charlize Theron, and John Lithgow. The movie does a good job explaining how untouchable Roger Ailes was for a long time. Ailes was originally a small-time Philadelphia and then Cleveland TV producer. He was plucked out of obscurity as executive producer of The Mike Douglas Show at age 27, when he got into a heated argument with Richard Nixon, who was going on the show as a guest, and who downplayed the importance of TV to him while getting ready for his appearance. The legend is that Ailes listed off every single mistake Nixon made running for president in 1960, and was immediately asked to join Nixon's 1968 campaign as a media consultant. He then came up with a media strategy that allowed Nixon to debate the issues on TV without actually having to deal with the media at all.
That is why I say that when we talk about law and order, which I am strongly for, because I do not think you can have progress without order, and I do not think you can have freedom without order. But at the same time, you must couple that with justice. You must couple it with justice and progress, because only if you have justice and progress and the hope that an individual can get out of that ghetto where he lives, that he can go up and not just stay where he is, only if he has that hope is he going to be less susceptible to the revolutionary arguments of the Rap Browns and the rest.
The Nixon campaign invented the modern town hall when they recruited a bunch of people who mostly already supported Nixon, except the occasional person who they picked to be a weak liberal voice Nixon could shoot down to ask him questions. But the campaign would control every aspect of production, keeping the media from having any actual control over it. Ailes then tried and failed to build a right-wing media network with Joseph Coors, Television News Inc., which folded in just 9 months. Ailes worked on Reagan's 1984 campaign and George H.W. Bush's 1988 campaign, where he worked with Lee Atwater of Southern Strategy fame. Ailes then went to go work for NBC, first as president of CNBC, then founding the America's Talking Network, which would end up eventually becoming MSNBC. In 1995, Ailes left NBC, possibly because an internal review had him calling David Zaslav a little Jew prick. In 1996, Ailes joined Rupert Murdoch's Fox News as chairman, a role he'd have for 20 years until his departure in 2016 under the weight of 20-plus sexual harassment allegations.
Roger needs you. Your silence is being noticed.
Well, the whole point of an investigation is to find the truth, Janine. Until that happens, I don't have a lot to say.
If this charge sticks, the working assumption will be every woman at Fox got down on her knees.
Fox News definitely fit very awkwardly into the Me Too movement. Stories about Ailes and pretty much every male host and executive at Fox News have been leaked at various times. But Fox News was famously litigious and very good at writing contracts that made it impossible to speak out and be heard in court. Ironically, of course, one of the big first stories that Fox News covered so relentlessly in their drive for partisan gain that damaged lives and reputations was the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Monica Lewinsky wrote that it was Fox News' coverage that made her consider suicide.
One of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
What is she doing?
Your Twitter account
Only
has
Rosie
several-
O'Donnell.
Bombshell is an interesting time capsule into the time period that caused a big reshuffling at Fox, just as Donald Trump won the Republican primary. Using real-life footage such as the RNC and real Trump debate moments, with a narrative story where actors dramatize the events. Fox News, as conservative America's news network, believed itself to be the most fortified against the Me Too movement. And it's interesting to remember the Trump primary, including when Trump said Megyn Kelly had blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever, was happening simultaneously to the Me Too movement and the fall of Roger Ailes. As I say though, Fox News always fit uncomfortably into that movement. And the versions of Megyn Kelly and Gretchen Carlson that emerge here are definitely more sympathetic than I think they deserve. There's an interesting conundrum at the center of the story, and Bombshell touches it, but the sympathy given to Megyn Kelly especially obscures some of it. The political ideology that Fox News and its anchors promote has made life worse for women and minority groups of all kinds in a myriad of ways, and to some degree their anchors are complicit with that. A set of ultimately unresolvable contradictions exist for a woman at Fox News looking to get ahead even without sexual harassment to worry about. Personified by Megyn Kelly having to bend over backwards to appease Trump after he repeatedly attacks her on Twitter. Her own fans begin attacking her for attacking Trump. Although you have to sympathize to some degree, and nobody deserves harassment, it's also like the leopard-eating face party guy who says, I didn't think the leopard would eat my face. They do try to engage with that a bit, showing Megyn Kelly's Santa is white panel, but I wish they had been able to engage with it more.
You have to adopt the mentality of an Irish street cop. The world is a bad place. People are lazy morons. Minorities are criminals. Sex is sick but interesting. Ask yourself what would scare my grandmother or piss off my grandfather. And that's a Fox story.
It's interesting to remember who was on Fox at that point, though, and how few of them are still there. Megyn Kelly was out at Fox News by 2017 and joined NBC, where, like Rob Delaney's character says in this, he couldn't get the Fox News stink offer and left by 2019. The film also tries to put more of a positive spin on what happened at Fox News after Ailes was ousted than I think they deserve. If anything, the era where Megyn Kelly and Bill O'Reilly, also ousted for sexual harassment, got replaced by Tucker Carlson was more of a cesspool, at least in terms of content. The era of reforming Fox News to make it more woman-friendly appeared to be extremely brief. By 2019, when Bombshell came out, it was a very different cultural moment than 2016. It made $61 million at the box office from a budget of $32 million, which was seen as a disappointing result. Margot Robbie was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, Charlize Theron for Best Actress, and it won for Best Makeup and Hairstyling at the 2020 Oscars.
You built an amazing business. No one can take that away from you. But under the circumstances, this is a lot of money. It won't look good to the people that don't know your worth. Take it. Honor your non-compete.